It is not just like that Kashmir got its name, paradise on earth. Kashmir is truly heart-achingly beautiful. Hi, this is Ishani. Welcome to my travel tales. Today I would like to talk to you about how I spent 6 days in Kashmir in March of 2025. First off, on reaching Srinagar, we just had to go for a shikara ride on the Dal Lake. Being surrounded by the gently lapping waves as you take in the gorgeous scenery all around can be a mesmerizing experience. But unfortunately, what happens is one is immediately surrounded by hawkers who are trying to sell everything from snacks to kawa to jewelry. It can be very annoying. But of course, they leave you alone after some time, so I guess it's okay. On one side of the Dal Lake, there is this floating market that was fun to explore. You hop off your shikara and into a shop. How unique is that? Later in the day, we spent time exploring Srinagar. We took a walk along some local markets, including the spice market. Spent some time learning the history of Jamia Masjid. And watched some local artisans doing intricate work. During sunset, we strolled along the Jhelum and ended up at the historic Lal Chowk. For the first night, we had booked ourselves into a houseboat. I would highly recommend doing that for just trying out something different. The houseboat we had rented was not on the main Dal Lake but on the relatively quieter Nagin Lake. This houseboat, as you can see, had all the modern amenities that one would need. After a restful night on the houseboat, we continued with our exploration of Srinagar the next day. First off, we visited the Shankaracharya temple. It is one of the oldest temples and offers panoramic views of the surrounding area. But keep in mind that the ascent to the temple requires one to climb around 240 to 250 steps. Also, you will need to take a local rickshaw to the base of the steps. You cannot take your vehicle up the hill. We then checked out the Chashme Shahi garden. The name Chashme Shahi means royal spring. The spring's water flows down through the garden in a series of terraces, waterfalls and fountains. We also saw this beautiful 300-year-old chinar tree in this garden. Oh, the stories it could tell us. In the early evening, Nishat Bagh, a terraced Mughal garden, gave us amazing sunset views over the Dal Lake. The Zabarwan mountains as a backdrop and the glow of the golden hour turned all our photographs absolutely Insta-worthy. Oh, and I forgot. On our way to Nishad Bagh from Chashme Shahi, we stopped at the venue of the Kashmir Tulip Festival. Since we were a month early, there were no tulips for us to see, but a pretty place nevertheless. We ended the day by visiting a carpet factory. We were lucky to get to see the actual weaving process in action. I could only marvel at the patience it must be taking to make one carpet. After 2 nights in Srinagar, we drove to Pahalgam. On the way, we stopped for some roadside kahwa, bought some saffron, and also visited a bat factory where professional grade cricket bats are made using high quality Kashmiri willow. Of course, calling these factories is a bit of a stretch. They are more like workshops, but there are multiple such workshops dotting this area. Further along our journey, we stopped for some refreshing apple juice at an apple orchard. Kashmiri apples are famous for their exceptional taste and crisp texture. Though again, this was not the apple season, so the trees were bare. But these enterprising people had stuck cutouts of apples to give us tourists a feel of the actual trees. And finally, we reached snow. After reaching Pahalgam, we had a quick lunch and then took a local taxi up to Aru Valley. Just look at the amount of snow here in March. Since we were at Pahalgam for only one night, we did not go to Chandanwari. It's basically A, B, C. That is Aru Valley, Betab Valley and Chandanwari. But we didn't do the last one. And also another point to note is that at Pahalgam, you have to take the local taxis there because regular outside cars are not allowed to go up, which I guess is a good thing for their business. We then drove on further to Betab Valley. Betab Valley got its name because the 80s film Betab was shot here. Its original name is Hajan Valley. We were lucky to experience snowfall at both Aru and Betab valleys. After 2 days in Pahalgam, we drove back to Srinagar. On the way, we stopped at the Avantipura ruins. The song Tere Bina Zindagi Se Koi from the film Aandhi was shot here. Though the sandstone structures are now mostly in ruins, you can still see how intricate the carvings were. The rest of the day we spent in leisure. On the 5th day, we went for a day trip to Gulmarg. Translated as Meadow of Flowers, this popular hill station in the Pir Panjal range of the western Himalayas is a snowy winter sports paradise. In fact, we saw a number of people skiing down the slopes as we climbed to the top on the gondola. I personally felt extremely giddy as soon as I stepped outside, so I had to go back inside and have some hot chocolate. And I also felt very light on my feet and couldn't walk without holding someone. By the way, this gondola is Asia's second longest cable car line. Amazing feat of engineering. Okay, the other issue here is that there are huge lines to get to the cable car. It can take you anywhere between 1 to 2 hours to get to the top of the line. But this is India and we know we have a sheer volume of people. So all these tourist destinations will have this issue, especially during peak season. The gondola stops at 2 phases. A bit of warning. Phase 1 is fine, but the second phase is at an altitude of almost 14,000 feet. The oxygen here is very less and you cannot spend more than 5 minutes here. The next day we had the option of either visiting Sonmarg or Dudhpatri. We chose to go to Dudhpatri. No reason for that, you can choose either. Dudhpatri literally means the valley of milk. The frothy river Shaliganga flowing through this valley appears milky white from a distance. Also, you must note that the actual site is quite far from the car park area, almost 4 kilometers. We had heard that Doodh Patri was less commercialized and would be less crowded, therefore. But that was clearly not the case. There is no such thing as less crowd in India now. And the only way to get there is by ponies or ATVs. I could see some people who chose to walk, but I feel 4 kilometers is too much of a walk one way. There were also a few cars that we saw, but on inquiring, we realized that they were local cars that had special permit to drive up to the river. So that's it. Those were my 6 days in Kashmir. From Srinagar to Pahalgam to Gulmarg to Doodh Patri. Like I said at the start of the video, Kashmir has this enchanting beauty that you have to experience to understand. So please plan a trip to Kashmir, and if you need help, do get in touch with me or Travel Scrabble.